Hello and welcome back to the channel and what's caught my eye in the classifieds today. Well, I'm going to start with this one first of all. And we know that British Leyland obviously had the factories in the UK, but they also had factories that built vehicles in South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. And what I'm looking at today is a vehicle built in South Africa. Now, quite often, a lot of the products produced at factories outside of the UK differed in various ways. We know very well that the Australians had bigger engines in some of the cars. They had vehicles which we never had on our market. And South Africa was no different. We are well familiar with the Wolseley Hornet and the Riley Elf. Now, what we had in South Africa was that they made a Wolseley 1000. It was basically a mini body shell, so it didn't have the extended boot, but yet it had the Wolseley Hornet front end. First introduced in 1967, it was powered by the 998cc A series engine, hence the Wolseley 1000. However, in 1969, the model was replaced with the so-called Mini Mark III. So before we actually look at the car itself, what's the one thing that you can see in that picture that stands out more than anything? If you look at the front bumper, you see that it's still carried over the Riley Elf bumper. Right, now let's go and have a look at the car itself and we'll discuss it a bit further. Right, so as we reveal the full picture, you can see exactly what we've got. And it's the reverse of the Wolseley 1000 in that it's now got a mini front end, but it's now got the Wolseley Hornet extended boot. Looking at that, that isn't a colour that I'm familiar with as a UK car. But I think that is a genuine colour that's a South African specification car. And looking at the line there that runs down the bodywork, that is, I would say, correct. That isn't something that somebody's just added on. I think that's an actual how they were produced, from what I can gather. Now, obviously, coming from South Africa, a nice, dry, warm climate has done a lot to help this car survive as it has. And if we look a little bit more closely, you can see there the nice crisp seam there. And again, at the top of the door, a nice crisp seam. Let's have a look at the top of the scuttle. It appears to be okay. And obviously the A panel looks fine. And as we move to the front of the car, you can see how nice and crisp that front wing, when it meets the front panel, the seam appears to be there. Now, moving round to the front, this is something which looks totally different. I'm not quite sure exactly what it is and what's going on, but obviously we've got an Austin badge, and it's these additional features there. So we've got our indicators, and I'm not quite sure what they are. If you know what they are, I'd be interested to know. Again, I don't think that this is something that somebody's just added on. I think this is just specific to the South African market. Right. Interesting to look at. And if we look at the seams at the back again, they all look to be good. There we go, the interior. Again, a nice crisp seam there at the top. Yeah. So is that in kilometres? I think that's in kilometres an hour, isn't it? Yes, yes it is. I think it's kilometres. Got oil pressure gauge, as well as the temperature gauge, as you can see. The indicator lights. Main beam and the ignition light. Again, as we look there, that looks all right. There's not a great deal wrong with that. It's a good basis for a very nice car. Right, let's have a look and see what the advert tells us. So it's a 1971. They were only produced from September 69 to I think it was December 71. They didn't have a long production run, and they only made about 3,800. Let's have a look and see what it says. Solid car from a dry climate. Could do with a respray at some point. Has some very minor surface. Yeah, I mean that looks pretty much all there to me. And of course, the big advantage with it being South Africa is that it right-hand drive market, like Australia and New Zealand and Japan. Very rare. 71 Mini Mark 3. Yeah. And produced 2 years, 69 to 71. 3,871 cars built. Sold in South Africa. Equivalent to a week's production of Minis at Longbridge. And it left the factory with a 1971 Clubman 1275cc engine as per the customer's request, and it's a matching numbers car. That's interesting. Good solid example and UK registered. Just under 50,000 miles, so it is in kilometres as it says. Had some recent work done as you can see. Overall, a special and rare Mini. Yeah, it is, I would agree with that. Right, let's go and have a look and see what else we can find. Right, what's the next thing that catches my eye? We tend to think of the Fiat 500 perhaps as being one of the first modern retro cars, harking back with the 500, but that didn't come along till 2007, whereas the VW Beetle, the new VW Beetle, I should say, was brought out in 1997. And I saw this and I thought, I quite like that. That's quite canny. Quite a nice project for somebody. And when they first brought them out, they had some nice pastely colours like pale yellows and pale green metallics, nice boot spoilers. Of course, there was the rare RSI one, I think it is, only made between 2002 2004. But yeah, I quite like them, and you can pick these up quite cheaply. But I think this is quite an interesting project, and I think this has been cleverly put together, actually. I quite like it, and I just thought it was worth sharing with you. I don't mind the colour, actually. I think it's quite a pleasing colour. Not the grey, perhaps, but if it was all one colour, I quite like the turquoisey, the duck eggy bluey colour, whatever you want to call it. And I could just imagine some deep dished steel wheels on there. Could even make it like a bit of the back part of the pickup, like a woody effect on the side panels in here and in here and around there. You could make it like a woody side panel. That's quite a lot you could actually do with it. Yeah, it interests me greatly. I think it's a good project for somebody that. Let's see what the advert tells us. One of a kind VW Beetle custom pickup, a unique addition to any car collection. With its ready-to-paint exterior and black interior, classic cars sure to turn heads on the road. Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure there'll be lots of people would be interested in seeing that. Yeah, I think that's quite a funky little thing, and I think there's still a lot more you could do with it, and individualise it further. With you could do things with the interior, put some nice posh seats in, as I say, make it like a Woody. Um, do whatever you want with it, and yeah, I think interesting vehicle that. If you've got any comments you want to make, please do. I'll be interested to hear from you. And until next time, thanks again for joining me, and take care.